Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Mighty Stream. I'm going to do your October the 5th spiritual principle day in a meditation. It's a wonderful morning. I hope you're doing well this morning. Let's go ahead and get into the meditation. It's 5:35 a.m. and it's beginning to rain really hard where I'm living, and it just sounds so beautiful. Okay, powerlessness, step 1 in tradition 5. The first step of Narcotics Anonymous is unique. Rather than addressing a single symptom of or substance, we admit our powerlessness over the disease that drives us. Now, that comes from the guiding principles, tradition 5, for members. Depending on who's telling the story, our first steps focus on the disease was either a stroke of genius, B, tremendous good luck, C, the work of a higher power, or D, all of the above. Our founding members knew that identifying a specific drug as the object of our powerlessness wouldn't work for this motley crew. They were intent on creating a place for all drug addicts where all of us could find identification. In refraining from naming a substance, if refraining from naming a substance had been their only concern, our first step might have just stated that we're powerless over drugs. Instead, step 1 points to the disease of addiction as our problem. Powerlessness over the disease gives our first step lasting relevance. Our focus on addiction instead of an apparent symptom makes step 1 as relatable before we detox as it is when we have decades clean. Sure, drug use was the most prominent and destructive manifestation of the disease, but unmanageability can bubble to the surface long after we've stopped using. When reaching outside ourselves to fix what's within seems like a good idea, we may be in trouble. When I admit my powerlessness, I interrupt that outward reach and turn to my higher power instead, one member observed. Surrendering to the first step acts as a circuit breaker on our disease thinking. This pause is the action in what's needed for us to dodge some unmanageability. Step 1's ongoing relevance influences how we think about the 5th tradition too. Knowing we're all eligible to be the still suffering addict reminds us to be more inclusive as we address our primary purpose. War stories may illustrate the unmanageability in our past, but our present day squeaky clean powerlessness also deserves some attention. Talking about our struggles confirms that last element of our message. We keep coming back and keep finding a new way to live. I will recognize my powerlessness in some present day situation, flipping the circuit breaker on some distorted thinking and opening myself to spiritual solutions. Let's take a moment of silence, followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now, please. Thank you. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please and thank you. Powerlessness, step 1, and tradition 5. Here's the beautiful thing about Narcotics Anonymous, and I've been to other fellowships, but just for me, Narcotics Anonymous allows me to take a step back and look at the big picture. Look at the big picture of the disease of addiction instead of looking at just one substance, right? Because if I look at just one substance, I will think because I stopped using that substance that now I've recovered. But in reality, this disease of addiction is a thinking disorder, right? It's the way that I think. And I need to turn that circuit breaker off when I get wrapped up into my disease thinking. I need to know how to go to that switch. I need to be able to find that switch in the dark, right? Or at least have a flashlight available. And a lot of times that flashlight being available in a sense is another recovering addict, another addict, right? The therapeutic value of one addict helping another is without parallel. So sometimes when I'm in my disease thinking, the process of being able to reach out to at least one person and ask for help, and sometimes that help is just talking about where I'm at, right? Is the flashlight that allows me to get to the circuit breaker, the fuse box, right? And turn it, switch it off, turn it off. I tell the boys around here all the time, you need to know where the flashlights are. They're here. There's several in every part of this house. You need to know that we have candles. You need to know where the light, I use the long ones that you use for barbecuing. You need to know where those are. And I have several throughout the whole house. There is never a reason for us to be in the dark for too long. And I'm using the dark in a sense as our disease thinking. Know where your candles are, know where your flashlights are, know who they are, right? So that we can turn to them and use them when we're in a moment of darkness, when our disease thinking is active again, because it's not just about one substance. It's a pattern of thinking that causes us to say, this is enough. I can't take it anymore. I'm going to pick something up and put something on top of that. But if we learn, oh, I'm excited about this one today, and I don't have time to be excited. Oh my goodness, right? If we learn how to turn off that circuit breaker, we will stop the thought, right? We will interrupt it long enough to allow us to recalibrate ourselves. Oh, okay. So, yeah, okay. That person just cut me off. They cut me off. And when I went to move around them and get in front of them, road rage, right? Now they're following me into the parking lot. How about let me not get out of the car right at the moment? Let me make a phone call. Because if I get out of the car right at the moment and they say something to me that I don't like, or they use the N word with me, and that's really a trigger for me, right? It could go sideways. I could be going to jail clean, right? So let's not do that. Let me get on the phone and call my girl and just say, hey, just had an incident on road rage. I wasn't completely in the right because once they did it to me, I did it back to them. But I'm sitting in this car right now. I'm gonna tell you right now, if I get out of this car, it's gonna be crazy, right? So just talk me through this, girl. You got too much going on. You about to graduate. You cannot do that. Let's do the serenity prayer. And before I know it, they're rattling it off. Before I know it, I'm breathing. Before I know it, they've gotten tired of waiting for me to get out. They've pulled off, and my mind is back in the right state of mind. See, I'm giving you real life incidents for me so that you can take them and place them in your life. And remember, we're powerless over the disease of addiction, not just one drug. My name is MightyStream. I've enjoyed talking to you today, and I know you are going to have the most beautiful day, but you got to do it on purpose. You've got to do it on purpose. I will talk to you tomorrow.